Lou, we wanted to talk about these spring-summer migrants that have arrived in the area and alert people to listen out for them. So what might people be hearing when they're out and about?
Well, there will be quite a number of cuckoos that do come down from the north, like the channel bill.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this last year, didn't we?
Yeah, but they come every year.
Yeah,
they
that's
come every
right.
year. So I'm delighted that he's here because he always causes such a ruckus amongst the other birds, doesn't he? They get very upset.
They don't like the channel
They
bill.
don't like him because he's huge and the noise he makes. Have you got the sound of the channel bill?
Yes, here we go. Here's a channel bill recording. Again, Mark Anderson from Zeno Canto.
It's not pretty.
Not at all. You certainly know when they're around, don't you?
You certainly know when they're around. And they look like pterodactyls. They're so big. They've got this enormous, almost toucan-like bill. Yeah. They're huge. And then there's another cuckoo that comes down from New Guinea and Indonesia and those islands, and that's the coal. Most people know the coal. They get quite cross with it too. Humans get cross with it because it never shuts up, the male, does it?
No, that's right. And on this occasion, I have not got a recording for a coel, but it actually sounds like it's saying coel, coel all
and
the time.
It sort of goes up. I mean, some sing better than others. I have noticed that, some of them are a bit lackluster, but some of them are absolutely superb.
Yeah, and they persist. They persist.
Go well. They go on and on and on, and people go crazy. And they sing early in the mornings too, waking people up.
Yeah. And
so they're there.
Yeah, and I read that they're actually doing very well in urban areas because many of their host species are doing well in urban areas. So, for example, the wattlebirds and so on are doing okay.
Yep.
In this kind of area.
That's right.
And so the coels are there waiting for an opportunity to put an egg in a wattlebird's nest or other birds, but that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah. And then the fantail cuckoos.
Yep, I've got a fantail cuckoo call.
Much smaller, much more discreet, but nevertheless calls loudly.
Pretty as well.
Pretty and forest rather than urban areas.
Yes, yeah, you won't hear this out in your backyard unless you live near a forest. I'll play this one. That is so familiar to anyone who's ever at the moment in the bush.
Going out in the bush.
You'll
always
that
hear it.
in the background
and
somewhere.
Tracking it is always a business, isn't it?
It carries a very long way, yeah.
It does. But usually it's out on a branch when you finally sort of track it down to the tree.
It doesn't mind showing itself at all. No. That recording also was Mark Anderson, Zeno Canto. Keep your eye out for fantail cuckoos. Let me tell you who their hosts are. They like to put their eggs in
smaller birds.
Poor old fairy wrens, scrub wrens, thornbills and brown thornbills. They're the tiniest bird.
Or the
That's
little
a bit
forest
unfair.
birds.
Yeah. And apparently the cuckoo's egg will hatch before the host's eggs and then just knocks off the host's nestlings as they emerge.
Yes, it's what do they call that? Sibling side or something.
Well, they're not siblings though, are they?
Well, don't they call it siblicide?
They call it siblicide, I think, if they're both from the same parent.
Oh, okay.
Don't know. I'm making it up a bit, but I think so. And one more spring-summer visitor that isn't actually a cuckoo is the dollar bird.
Yes, I love dollar birds.
Yeah, people do.
I love dollar birds.
So describe a dollar bird.
Well, it's a bit hard to describe, and actually you'd have to kind of be a little tuned in, I think, because they make a sort of crackling sort of... give us a sound.
Here we go.
Let's hear it.
There you go, everybody.
So I always know they're around by hearing them first. Mm-hmm. And then I look up high into the trees in the direction I think they're coming from. And very often you will see them high up on maybe, an old stag of a branch. Yeah. And they will take off and they will do these aerodynamic flights and they're showing off to one another. And then they'll go back to the same branch and they'll make a bit of quack, 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 quack. And then they'll start again doing these incredible sort of flights, aerobatics in the air. I think it must be a mating thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look through the binoculars, they look like brown birds, but they've got a red bill. But when you look through the binoculars, you will see that they've actually got this beautiful blue sheen to them. They're actually quite a beautifully, subtly feathered bird. And they come from New Guinea and Indonesia. They're coming from the north, like all of them. I mean, I always feel they must be a little disappointed in our weather. It's not quite what it was.
They're another bird that doesn't mind showing themselves. You will often see them on power lines and things like that, or an exposed branch that's not very leafy and so on. There's a group of birds called the rollers, which are better known in other parts of the world, and the dollar bird is in fact the only roller that we have amongst Australian birds. And the reason it's called the dollar bird is because when it flies and its wings are open, it's got allegedly these two round coins on the underside of the wings.
Yes, but I think that's a far-fetched, don't you?
Yes, yeah, I do.
I really do.
It's there, but it's, I wouldn't consider it the identifying feature. But it's a smaller, stockier little bird.
Yeah, not much tail.
No, but its antics and its call are quite entertaining.
Yeah,
Look out for it. Yeah, again, probably not one you'll see in the suburbs so much, but when you're a little bit further out, do you think?
Well, I go out to the playing fields near me, and there's some high trees around there, and they're often squawking around there.
Oh, right.
And carrying on.
Okay. I don't know if I mentioned that was another Mark Anderson recording from Zeno Canto.